So the timing considerations for investor-state mediation, the most important thing is to think of this as in terms of a continuum of the dispute resolution process, not to think that mediation can only take place at some particular point, i.e. before the arbitration or during the arbitration. Actually, it's better to think of it from the time the dispute emerges to the time it becomes fully formed. So, for example, the first time that it could happen is very early on, when investment officials and investors in the country are seeing a problem emerge and it's becoming a dispute. At that stage, mediation could be used to assist the parties through facilitated negotiation, perhaps to renegotiate the terms of the deal to avoid it becoming a fully fledged dispute itself. So the second time that parties could consider mediating is just before the arbitration begins, when parties are considering starting the arbitration process. There is a demand for arbitration being sent from one side to the other, suggesting that the parties will be open to settlement, and by way of mediation is often used as a mechanism to show parties that the other party is serious about instituting proceedings, but indicating that they're prepared to enter into negotiated discussions, and using a mediator at that point can be a very effective mechanism. The third period where mediation is often considered is the cooling off period within the arbitration itself. These periods are often contained within bilateral investment treaties, and therefore that's a period where it makes sense for the parties to consider mediation. There has also been feedback from stakeholders that often, though, by that period, parties have become entrenched. So again, thinking about doing it earlier, not just thinking about the cooling off period, is another way of approaching this. Another time when mediation could be considered within the life cycle of a dispute is actually in parallel with the arbitration. It may be that arbitration is underway and that actually there are substantive arbitration hearings taking place. There's no reason why mediation can't happen in parallel. And in fact, if the arbitration panel have dealt with issues, for example, around jurisdiction or liability, then it may be a trigger point for the parties to consider mediating at that point, in parallel with the arbitration proceedings. The final area where mediation might be used and considered in terms of timing is actually post-award. Even where an arbitration award has been rendered, you still need to enforce that, and there may be issues around enforcement and recovery and timing, which makes it sensible for the parties at least to consider coming together at that point, even after an award, to consider whether a mediated agreement would be a better way of settling the matters.